Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Speak Easy Daily Conversations. I'm Olivia, and today's episode is something that feels very emotional and very real because we're going to talk about what it's like to live in another country.
And I'm Ethan. Yes, today we're going to explore a question that many people have thought about at some point in their lives. Is living in another country something exciting and amazing, or is it something scary and overwhelming?
I think for many people, it's actually both at the same time. There's excitement, curiosity, and hope, but also fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Exactly. And that's what makes this topic so interesting, because it's not just about travel or language, it's about identity, comfort, growth, and stepping into something completely unfamiliar.
So today, we're going to talk about this honestly. We're going to explore both sides, the beautiful parts and the difficult parts, and how people deal with those experiences.
So just relax, listen, and maybe imagine yourself in that situation as we talk.
Ethan, let me start with a simple question. If you had the opportunity to live in another country, how would you feel about it?
Honestly, I think I would feel a mix of emotions at the same time. On one side, I would feel very excited because living in another country means new experiences, new environments, and a completely different way of seeing the world. But at the same time, I would also feel nervous because it means leaving behind everything that feels familiar and comfortable.
That's very relatable. I think the idea of starting a new life in a different place sounds exciting in theory, but when you really think about it deeply, it can also feel quite overwhelming.
Yes, because you're not just changing your location, you're changing your daily life, your habits, your environment, and sometimes even your identity in a certain way.
I like how you said that, your identity. Because when you're in your own country, you feel like you know who you are. You understand the culture, the language, and the social norms. But when you move somewhere else, everything feels different.
Exactly. Even simple things like ordering food, asking for directions, or having a casual conversation can suddenly become challenging.
Let's talk about the scary side first. What do you think is the most difficult part of living in another country?
I think one of the most difficult parts is the feeling of being alone, especially at the beginning. When you first arrive, you might not know many people, and you don't have your usual support system like family or close friends.
That sounds really hard. I imagine that even small problems can feel much bigger when you don't have someone to share them with.
Yes, exactly. And there's also the challenge of communication. Even if you speak the language, there might still be moments where you don't fully understand what people are saying, or you struggle to express yourself clearly.
I think that can be very frustrating. You know what you want to say, but you can't always say it the way you want.
Yes, and over time, that can affect your confidence. You might start to feel unsure of yourself, even in situations where you would normally feel comfortable in your own country.
I want to explore that feeling more. Do you think that experience can change a person?
Definitely. I think living in another country can change you in a very deep way. At first, it can make you feel small or uncertain because you are outside of your comfort zone. But over time, if you keep going, it can actually make you stronger and more independent.
That's very powerful. So, the same experience that feels scary at the beginning can eventually become something that helps you grow.
Exactly. It's like a process. At first, you feel lost. Then slowly, you start to adapt. And eventually, you build a new sense of confidence.
Now, let's talk about the amazing side. What makes living in another country such a valuable experience?
I think one of the most amazing things is exposure. You are exposed to a different culture, different ways of thinking, and different perspectives, and that can really open your mind.
Yes, I think that's one of the most beautiful parts. You start to see the world in a different way, and you realize that there is not just one correct way to live.
Exactly. You become more flexible, more understanding, and more open to different ideas.
And I think you also learn a lot about yourself. When you're in a new environment, you discover how you react to challenges, how you solve problems, and how you adapt.
That's very true. You start to understand your strengths and your weaknesses in a deeper way.
Let's imagine a real situation. You just moved to a new country, and it's your first week. Everything feels new and unfamiliar. What would you do?
I think in that situation, I would try to take things slowly. I wouldn't expect myself to understand everything immediately. Instead, I would focus on small steps, like exploring the area, learning basic phrases, and getting used to the environment.
That sounds like a healthy approach. I think sometimes people put too much pressure on themselves to adapt quickly.
Yes, and that can make the experience more stressful. It's important to give yourself time.
I agree. Adjustment is a process, not something that happens instantly. Let's talk about something emotional. Have you ever felt like you don't belong in a place?
Yes, I think many people who live abroad experience that feeling at some point. You might feel like you don't fully belong in the new country, but at the same time, you might also feel disconnected from your home country after being away for a while.
That sounds like a very confusing feeling.
It is. It's like being in between two worlds. But I think over time, you learn to create your own sense of belonging instead of depending on a place.
That's very deep. So belonging becomes something internal, not just external.
Exactly. It becomes about how you feel, not just where you are.
Let's shift to something more positive. What is one moment that could make someone feel like this was worth it?
I think it could be a simple moment, like having a meaningful conversation with someone from a different culture, or realizing that you can navigate daily life on your own in a foreign environment. Those moments can give you a strong sense of achievement.
I love that. It's not always big moments, but small realizations.
Yes, like understanding a joke in another language, or feeling comfortable in a place that once felt unfamiliar.
That must feel very rewarding.
It does. It's a sign that you are growing.
Before we end, I want to ask one final question. If someone is afraid to live in another country, what would you say to them?
I would say that it's completely normal to feel afraid. Fear is a natural response to something unknown. But I would also say that sometimes the most meaningful experiences come from stepping into that fear and moving forward anyway.
That's very inspiring.
And I would remind them that they don't have to be perfect. They just need to be open, patient, and willing to learn.
Let's reflect on today's conversation.
Yes,
Living in another country can be scary.
but it can also be amazing.
It can make you feel lost.
But it can also help you find yourself.
It challenges you.
And it changes you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone.
And remember,
Growth often begins where comfort ends.
see you in the next episode of Speak Easy Daily Conversations.
Take care.